Hey everybody, I'm coming to the green chair. It's Friday. Happy Friday. Hope your day is going good on a Friday here. David Burns going to be with you every Friday. I like to sit down in my green chair and answer some of your beekeeping questions. So good to be with you. This is raw and unedited. It's not live. Live happens on Thursday night, and oftentimes on Thursday during our live stream, there's not enough time to answer all your questions. So today I'm going to go ahead and just sit down and pick up where we left off and help you guys out. A lot of questions to answer. Took a minute to get set up this morning here in the green chair. Hope you're having a good Friday. Friday's always a great day to start the weekend. If you get that lucky chance to get an early start on the weekend, oh gosh, it's a good day. Let's get right into it without any to-do. Jasmine said, what should I do to make sure the queen has room to lay bees of winter physiology? That's a struggle, Jasmine. Sometimes what you can do is pull out a few deep frames that are just full of honey. And if they're capped over, you can harvest it and enjoy it for your family or sell it. If it's not capped over, you could actually harvest it and feed it back to the bees in a feeder. And that's one way to do it. I wouldn't do a lot of frames like that because, you want your bees to have some stored honey even in your deeps for winter. But you might do a frame or two, see if that would help her out. Hey, Lewis, I got several hives that go through 2 jars of 1-to-1 in 4 days. Should I wait a few days before adding more, or can I just go ahead and keep feeding as soon as the jars are empty? Either way, Lewis, it really probably doesn't matter a ton. Waiting a few days may not be a bad idea. It's certainly a good idea for the pocketbook. Sugar isn't cheap anymore. And waiting a few days probably would be fine if you want to do it. It's easier on you having to go out there depending on how many hives you have. But if you have a lot of time on your hands, a lot of money in your pocket, and your bees are consuming it and they're not becoming honeybound, hey, keep feeding them. Nicholas, best advice if you're going for your master beekeeper. Oh gosh. Well, I am an EAS certified master beekeeper, and that stands for Eastern Apicultural Society. And EAS is different than all the other master beekeeper programs. There's one in Montana, there's one in Florida, I think Georgia, North or South Carolina? I mean, there's just so many master beekeeper programs, Cornell. And EAS started, way back, and it started at Cornell with Roger Morse. And through the years, EAS has really become known as the grandfather of all master beekeeper programs. What's really unique to the Eastern Apicultural Society's Master Beekeeper Program, which I got to admit I'm a part of. I don't get paid for being a part of it, but I am the field team leader. So my team puts together the field test each year. There's 4 tests. Field, where we actually observe you in a hive. I think that's so important. That's really where master beekeepers can be observed working a hive. But there's also the oral test where you stand before 3 master beekeepers, certified master beekeepers, and I also am a participant in the panelists for that. And then you have a written test and a lab test. The written test and the lab test this year are being written by Dr. David Peck. Many of you know him from our live stream. He's great, and he just came on board replacing Dr. Debbie Delaney that did a super job for many years before him. And so we're looking forward to that. Anyway, you got 4 tests that you have to get an 85% on or higher, 85 points or higher. And so I'm kind of partial to the EAS Master Beekeeper Program because of this alone. Number 1, you don't have any type of material to study for. You just simply do your own study. You have your own years of experience as a master beekeeper, and you show up and take the test. And it makes it kind of simple. If that's not your thing, some people like to have, kind of like curriculum to go through. They like going through steps, like you might start off, a journeyman? I forget all the different layers. A journeyman, you work your way up to an apprentice or whatever. You work your way up to finally be tested as a master beekeeper. So it kind of is your flavor, really. I'm partial to EAS because it is, I'm going to say, my opinion is, I really can't say this. I can tell you how I feel, but I don't think this is accurate now that I think about it. I feel like it's one of the most difficult. And I say that because the tests are difficult. That's true. But it's difficult because you don't have anything to study for, right? I mean, like when I was in high school, when I went to college, I knew what to study for in college, for example. And so when I took my finals and stuff like that, hey, I could just, college wasn't all that hard for me because I knew what to study and I knew how to pass tests. So it's different when you take an EAS Master Beekeeper test or the test because you don't know what they're going to ask you. They can ask you anything. And it's crazy the things, anything related to beekeeping, they can ask you. And so that's why I think it's more difficult, the hardest. I was going to say it's the hardest, but not based on the test necessarily, but based on you don't know what to prepare for. So you have to really, literally, you have to know everything just in case they ask it. So I wanted to do that because I thought that would make me study and become more informed in beekeeping. And it did. And so that's why I love it so much. And I love the people of EAS. I have developed so many close friends that I love to see. We talk with through the years, through the year. So, but again, it's up to you. But that would be my advice. Decide how you want to approach it. Do you want to just be tested, knowing that you have learned everything you can possibly know or learn about beekeeping? Or would you rather work through a curriculum of material and be tested on that? All right. I love talking about that. Okay, EL says this year's bees in Southern California have gone nuts with pollen and bee bread, filling many, many frames. It's making it a challenge for the queen to lay. Do we leave all the bee bread frames in place? Yeah, that's a good question. Similar to the one about being honey bound, being bee bread bound. Again, bee bread is going to be harder to get out of the comb. I mean, honey, you can open it up and extract it. Bee bread is a little more sticky, a little more difficult to get out, but you might be able to knock it out. And if you can, it might not hurt to get a frame or two out of there. I notice my bees don't eat all their bee bread in the winter. Rarely do they eat much of it at all. It's weird. They store it, but then they don't really eat it much in the winter. So that might be a good idea to get some of it out of there. Denise, I pulled off honey supers and they had some uncapped honey. Can I feed this back to the bees with an internal feeder? I do use the Burns feeder board, and man, does that save time. Yeah, that's what I just mentioned. You can actually take any honey that isn't capped over yet and extract it. It's going to have a lot more moisture content in it. So it could ferment a little quicker. And so when you feed it back to the bees, you might want to do it right away and before it has a chance to ferment for the bees. Andy, hi David. Raw and unedited. I'll get my words lined up here in a minute. If a hive becomes queenless and they don't or can't make a new queen, how long would the remaining bees live? Basically 42 days, if not wintertime. Okay, so a colony's survival without a queen, and if they become hopelessly queenless, that means there's no chance, there's no eggs, there's no way they can even create a queen. They can live a little bit past 42 days. They really, I mean, 42 days is the commonly accepted 42, 45 days of a summer bee, the lifespan. But you'll find colonies that will survive a little bit past that. So they might make it to 60 days, some of the drones and all. But yeah, not going to last too long. Eric, hey David, I recently ran across a video that spoke on moving the brood box to the middle for overwinter. For example, super on top and bottom board in the middle. What are your thoughts? Thank you. For example, super on the top and brood and boom brood. Oh, okay, boom brood in the middle. What is that word, boom brood? What are they trying to say here? Brood box in the middle? I thought it said bottom board. Okay. Well, I'm going to go with your previous sentence where you said moving the brood box to the middle over winter. So are you saying a super below and a super above and the brood in the middle? The reason I don't like that, just my opinion, is because bees where I live in the north, they all move up in the wintertime. So that super on the bottom, if that's what you're saying, and I apologize if I misunderstood your question, but if you're putting the brood in the middle, you got a super of honey below them, it means nothing to them. They won't go down there to eat it. You want to put all the food above the cluster. Yeah, food above the cluster. I hope that helps you out there. Hi, David. You have helped me so much this year with current and past videos. Thank you. One question, what are your thoughts on vaporizer smokes, or should I say, have you ever seen them in use? Okay, I answered that last week, didn't I, in the green chair, or the week before? And yeah, watch my videos. You got to get into all my videos so you can get these questions answered. I have used them. I get sent these things. Companies will send them to me to try out, and I've tried them out. And I'll try to stay close to my last answer, which is I'm sure they work to some degree, but the ones I've tried so far just don't work like my smoker does, burning burlap, especially if the bees are heavily agitated. I just can't move bees as much so far with the vaporizers that use vapors of some type of, what is it, essential oil, mineral oil. I don't know what they vaporize in there, some kind of oil, something. But I kind of am old school too. And I'm sorry, I love a smoker. I love a smoker. I mean, you know what? If you like fishing, you got to love a boat, or you got to love a bank that you can sit on, or you got to love the fishing pole, right? Beekeeping to me is a smoker. I love handling a smoker. I love having that smoker, traditional smoker. So I know that some of the new vaporizer smokers or whatever might be great for you. It might be easier for you, but I have tried them. I'm not sold. I could change. Tomorrow, I could be burying my smokers and using the new vape smokers. But right now, they just haven't won me over. And that's just me. Hey, I don't own the corner of all beekeeping knowledge. I don't know everything. And I don't think my way is the highway either. If you want to do that, more power to you. I think every beekeeper has a right to do their own research and test things out, see what it feels like for you. And if you like it, do it. Yeah, go for it and brag about it and tell everybody how great it is. That's sure. I support you on that. Absolutely. All right. Andrew, a question for a new beekeeper. Seems everyone recommends Italians. I'm kidding. Italians. And what Andrew is referring to is a type of honeybee queen with a heritage of an Italian heritage. What is the name of the Italian bee? Gosh, Apis mellifera ligustica. I think I pulled that out of this dusty mind. It's kind of dusty back there, but I got it. Ligustica. I hope I got that right. But that's the Italian bee, meaning the heritage of that type of queen is more from Italy. And so what's my opinion of it? It did kind of help America many years ago, many decades and decades ago, when those were brought in to the U.S. because we had I think it was a German black bee that was a little more defensive in the early days of our country. And so Italian bees posed a lot more calmness. And so beekeepers imported the Italian bees and fell in love with them. What are my thoughts? Let's see. Let me get back to this question here. Everyone seems to recommend Italians. I'm tempted to try Russians for their overwintering ability. I am in North Dakota, getting my first bees in the spring. Very excited. All right, here we go. You ready? This question is my opinion and my experience only. I know other people are going to differ from this. And again, I support you if you're going down a different avenue than I'm going in view of this. I've raised queens for at least a couple of decades now. And I've tried all different stocks, including Russians and Italians and Carniolans and Buckfast, and you name them all. I've tried them, ankle biters, blah, 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 right? I can't get much results that differ. I mean, it seems like a queen bee is a queen bee to me. Sure, there might be a slight difference, but I've never found that a queen is going to be able to overwinter if I'm not preparing my hive to overwinter. Does that make sense? Can you hear that train a mile away? So in other words, if I say I'm not going to think about feeding my bees, I don't care about how much honey they have on board, I don't care about anything about how, the hive looks, may have gaping holes in it, whatever, I don't care, because I've got this super duper overwintered certain kind of queen that will save the day. That's not going to happen. We're not there yet. No. Don't get caught up in that. Don't try to chase the queen. I don't think that's where it's at. I really don't. You can't. We're trying to get queens that produce their progenies are less affected by mites or can control mites better. A tiny little bit of work and headway is being made in that, but I mean, let's face it. If that is the case, why do we still have problems with mites? And why do we have companies coming up with more and more treatment options? And, you know, yeah, queens aren't winning the day for us right now. So I believe in the mutt. M-U-T-E. Oh, wait a minute. Did I spell that right? Mute? I don't know. But I believe in the mutt. M-U-T. I think that the queen that does a good job for you, it doesn't matter where she's from. That queen could be from Italy, from Russia, from America. I don't care. Man, if you're laying a lot of brood and I don't have a ton of mites in there, and I don't have diseases, and you're overwintering good for me, I don't care where you're from. Go to work. Make me proud. Yeah, well, enough on that. How long should it take a queen to get mated? It's been two, but it has been raining a lot. Is there any chance it'll happen any more this year? It's been 2 days? It's been 2 weeks? It's been months? It's been I'm going to say 2 weeks. 2 months is way too long. How long should it take a queen to get mated? Okay, in the middle of summer, a queen will probably go on a mating flight after she emerges, probably about anywhere from a week after she emerges. A week is a safe kind of time, 5 to 7 days after she emerges. That's a virgin queen. If the weather's good, and she'll fly out and get mated that day. She may take another second mating flight, not unusual. And she'll mate with 20 or 40 drones and come back. Takes a little time for the sperm to gravitate into the spermatheca, but I would say after she comes back from her mating flight, she'll be laying within 5 days. So what is that? We got 10 days. Yeah, about 2 weeks. 2 weeks a queen ought to be laying if she was able to go out and get it on a mating flight. A couple of weeks. But the beekeeper cannot always see eggs. So if you wait 3 weeks, you'll probably see larvae. So it's odd for it to take more than 2 weeks. Let's put it after she emerges. No, yeah, after she emerges. Yeah. I have to think about that a little bit longer. Let me make sure I'm right on that. So she emerges, she matures, queen cell. Yeah, that's about right. 2 weeks after she emerges. Yeah. Hey, Karen. Hi, David. I lost my queen in the middle of summer. I replaced her. The hive came back. I'm feeding them candy boards, and they are still bringing in pollen. There are cap baby bees and larvae, but no honey. Okay, no stored honey that's capped over. Candy boards, maybe it's winter where you are. Candy is a harder board that I only give in the winter. I like to feed my bees 1-to-1. But if you're wanting them to store honey, 2-to-1 would be what you need to do. 2 parts sugar, 1 part water. That's more syrupy, and they can dry that down quicker for honey storage. Half grass gardener. Dave, quick question. 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 sugar water mix for winter? Oh, I think I just mentioned that. I don't feed any liquids in the winter. Now, you're in Alabama, you said, so you might get away with it in warmer temperatures, above 50 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 10 degrees Celsius. I don't know. If they're flying, you can feed them 1-to-1 sugar water. I only feed 2-to-1 if I just have to get them to put in more stored honey. Otherwise, 1-to-1 does the trick. A light thin syrup really does get the bees to lay some brood. Really does. Hey, Navy Phil. Dave, is pollen critical in the winter? Oh, the other guy was, I don't know if you were in Alabama. Navy Phil's from Alabama. So, well, Alabama, do you need pollen in the wintertime? Absolutely. Absolutely. So bad. You need pollen so bad in the wintertime because bees of winter physiology have vitellogenesis going on in their bodies where they have reservoirs where they store protein, which is pollen. Pollen is our protein in bees, but they store the protein in their bodies. Fat bodies are called. And the bees of winter physiology, since they have stored reservoirs in their head and their abdomen of this protein, it helps them so much survive longer. So yeah, they need the protein. They need protein. Protein is what if you work out, you need to get done with your workout and eat some protein or drink protein because you need to rebuild your muscles. Bees use their muscle to actually make heat, vibration of their wings and legs and all to make heat. So yeah, they're burning through protein. They need it in the wintertime. Probably a lot more than you think. Absolutely. Maybe 3. I think I read once where bees consume 3.5 pounds of protein a week. That's a lot of protein. Hey, Tracy. David, I am in North Georgia and I'm going through winter with two 10-frame deeps. First time doing this. Will I need to put the top box on the bottom come spring? Oh, you're talking about, should I rotate in the spring? Rotating bees was a big thing when I first started beekeeping back in the early 90s. Everybody said rotate in the spring because all the bees go up. And they said, there's no way the queen will ever go down and lay again. And there is a little bit of advantage in putting, if it's entirely empty, deep box on the bottom, you could swing it to the top and let the queen fill that up and the bees put honey up there. But don't do it if there's scattered brood in both of the deeps. You'll mess up the brood. I wouldn't do it but so if it's just a deserted box, it's empty of everything, hardly no bees down there in the spring, yeah, it might help to rotate it. Yep. All right. Hey, David. Sherry 2, does adding the amino bee to hot water or heating it for candy boards damage the amino acids? You know, that's a good question. I think there's different ways to look at that. You know, you get protein, amino acid is protein, and so are we denaturing some of the proteins and all when we heat it and such like that? I'm not an expert in this area, but I will say that for me, you still get a lot of proteins when you cook beans. You still get a lot of proteins when you cook a steak or salmon. So I'm going to say maybe a little bit, but it's still going to be beneficial. What do I know? Natalie. Hi, David. Love your content. Have to ask, though, what your favorite part of beekeeping you enjoy the most or least favorite part of it. Oh, that's good. I got to tell you, this might surprise a lot of you. My favorite part of beekeeping is really this right here, making beekeeping videos. This is my studio back here. If you can tell, this is what I call my studio yard. I've got about, I don't know, is there 15, 20 hives back there. I've got some other hives further back. And then I collaborate with a nuke yard. I collaborate with a packaged bee yard. And so this is just bees that I use just for my studio. And I don't take care of them the way that I should because I make a video and then I run to the edit room and I make a video for you. And sometimes I never get back to treat the bees the way they need to be treated. But anyway, so my favorite part is making YouTube videos about beekeeping, what I've learned over my 30 years of beekeeping. So that's the funnest part, is educating people. Oh, I love that. I love it. I'm so passionate about educating beekeepers. Yeah, I don't think I express that enough, do I? And I try to be artistic about it, entertaining about it, try to be personal about it. I really do feel that that turns my crank. That really gets me up in the morning, making videos about beekeeping and helping people, seeing people respond in such a, you guys leave comments how I help you make sense out of beekeeping. So that's my favorite part. My worst part, the worst part of beekeeping. Is there anything bad about beekeeping? Things that I really don't like about beekeeping? Well, I think the heat. I think lifting heavy boxes. I think battling mites, battling beetles, the stuff that is not fun to do. Sometimes I get really far behind on my treatments. Sometimes, I'm human. I have 13 grandchildren. I have other things that I do in life. And so I get behind on things because my personality, I don't know if I'm ADHD adult. I kind of think so. But I think my personality is I don't always do the things that aren't fun to do. I just don't want to do them. I don't want to do that. And sometimes that means I should be testing that hive, but I don't want to. So I do something else, like go ride my bike. I know it. Don't do as I do. Wait a minute. Yeah, don't do as I do. Do as I say. But, life happens. So that's kind of what I don't like about beekeeping. All the stuff that is hard to do and not as enjoyable. Elijah, hey, my bees are in 2 deeps and then have 1 frame that I haven't filled up yet. But there are a ton of bees packed in the hive. I know it's too late to draw new frames, but should I put a new box on? Where do you live? What state? What country? Where on the planet? You say it's too late, so you kind of already know that a new box isn't going to do anything. You already know it's too late. A new box isn't going to be any advantage at all. It might be a disadvantage. I wouldn't put a new box on unless they could draw those combs out in a month. I wouldn't do it. Yeah. Fritz the cat. Bottom entrance with wrap and top entrance. I just made a video on October tips. 8 October tips. I'll leave a link in this video. Let me try to do it right up here. I don't know if that ever works. I'll try to remember that. Yeah, October tips, I talk about that. So go to that video. I just made it last week. 8 tips for October or the fall where I address that. Gene, David, besides beekeeping and cycling, what do you and Sherry do in your other spare time? Ah, we do what most people do. We enjoy our home. We enjoy time together. Sherry and I met Sherry when she was 14 years old and I was 16. And she was just, I don't know, was she in high school then or going into high school? I don't know. But we were very young. And we fell madly in love, and we are still madly in love to this day. We have such a great marriage, a great relationship. I'm not kidding you. Oh, we fight. We have our differences. And sometimes she wins, sometimes I win. And you guys remember Minnie Pearl, the comedian? I think she was on Hee Haw. And I remember something she said once in one of her comedy acts. Somebody asked her, "Have you ever thought about divorcing your husband?" And she said, "Divorce? No. Kill him? Yeah." So I don't know. I would. Sherry is my life, and gosh, so we do everything together. We work together. We run a business together. We beekeep together. But we enjoy our home. We enjoy our family, our friends. But we do have a lot of hobbies. Sherry cycles too. She does a lot of bike riding. And let's see, we do some hobbies together. I'm into ham radios. K9 Echo Zulu Echo is my call sign on ham radio. So I enjoy that, especially in the wintertime when I can't get outside and do other things. I get on my ham radio. You have to get a license and all, FCC license for that. I actually tried to get that when I was a kid. I got my CB radio license when I was a little kid. You had to get licensed back then for a CB. I was always into electronics and stuff like that, still am. So I enjoy tinkering a lot with electronics, with my bike. I restore old bikes. Like I love to take an old Schwinn bike from 1930, 1940 that somebody has and restore it and not add any new parts, but clean it up and repack bearings, replace bearings, whatever. I love restoring old typewriters like Smith Corona. I love the 1930 models of Smith Corona, the flat tops. I love tinkering with those, and I still like typing. I still type on a typewriter. Not, I mean, look, I don't type everything on a typewriter, but I type a lot on a typewriter. I write my article every month for the Bee Culture. I'm a columnist in the Bee Culture magazine. I don't use my typewriter for that. You know, I wrote a book. My wife and I wrote a beekeeping book. We didn't use a typewriter, obviously, but typewriters are fun. But we have some other hobbies. We have one hobby that we can never mention on YouTube, not because it's forbidden or anything, but because sometimes it has, it's better not to mention it. And we both love participating in that. We have a lot of hobbies. I'm really a hobby nut. I really am. I have a ton of hobbies. Okay, enough about me. Next page. Richard, do we have bees of winter physiology in South Florida? We don't have much of a winter here. Anytime, Richard, you have a pause between dearth, or let's see, pause between nectar flows, then the bees will go into winter physiology if that appears to be longer than 2 weeks. So if the bees feel like, uh-oh, nectar flows over, what do? They'll go into a winter physiology mode. It doesn't really mean it's winter physiology. It's more of a dearth physiology. So if you have a dearth, yeah, they'll start raising bees that can survive through that dearth period. That's what bees do. That's what they're known for. Hey, Brett, David, how many hives do you currently have? Hang on, John's calling me. Hey, John, what's up? Dr. John Zavishlock.
What's going on, my friend? It's been a while.
It has been a while, and I thought today we need to talk because I haven't talked to you all week.
Yeah, I actually tuned into your YouTube broadcast last night.
Good. Well, you're.
I missed you so much.
I know you miss. Well, you're actually being filmed. I'm actually making a raw, unedited video right now. Hello? He just hung up on me. Now he's calling back. Yeah, I've been saying I'm making a video right now.
Oh, okay. Is this a bad time?
Yeah, because I'm live. I'm not really live, but this is raw and edited. So.
Oh, okay. I just lost you there, so I called back. But hey, I'll talk to you again
Yeah,
another time.
yeah, I do want to talk to you because I miss talking to you too. So we'll talk. I'll try to call you back when I'm done filming.
I'll give you a call this evening if I don't hear from you.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
See you, John. Bye-bye. John Zavishlak and I are such good friends. We met at EAS when we were both trying to get our certification of Master Beekeeper. And John is a brilliant person, and we talk a lot about bees. So when John calls, I answer the phone. That's all it is to it, even if I'm filming. All right. Usually he has a good question or something. And John and I are working on a book together. He told me not to mention that, but yeah. All right. How many hives do you currently have? Well, like I mentioned before, I've got my studio hives. I'm not a guy that's trying to build up massive number of hives anymore. I'm not a commercial beekeeper. I once had a lot of hives. I bought out a commercial beekeeper years ago, and I've kind of done all that big stuff. And now I'm older and I'm trying to concentrate on education. So yeah, I don't have 1,000, 2,000, 15,000 hives. Sorry to disappoint you. I think you would love me more if I had 15,000 hives. You'd be, oh, you got to watch this guy. You got 15,000 hives. You know, that's not realistic for me anymore. But I do have. I've moved into collaborating with other people. Like I said, my nuke yard, my packaged bee business side of it. I collaborate with other beekeepers that have a lot more time to be out there in the yard than I do, since I'm making videos like this. Like this green chair video, I timed it last week. From the time that I printed off the questions last week, from the time I answered the questions, like filmed it, and then I got up in the edit room, and then you don't have to edit it, it's unedited, but you still got to put all the little, paste the questions in there to help people know what people are asking. 5 hours. It's 5 hours to make this video. So my heart, my passion, I don't want to spend all day in the bee yard. I want to spend time helping people with what I know about bees. So that's how many hives I have. I don't know, I probably got, 30 on the property here, and they're all my studio yards. And it keeps me fresh, keeps me into beekeeping. I got a couple more questions that some of you sent in. I think you sent it in either through my YouTube channel, or Sherry just said, answer this question, David. This is from Eric. I have 2 hives. Both of them have 5 frames of capped brood totally packed. Both of them have a queen. Both don't have eggs or larvae, but both of them don't have queen cells. They also both have 10 deep frames of honey and filled super. They also have lots of bee bread. It says beard, but bread and pollen. There's no way both queens went bad at the same time. I talked to a local beekeeper. She said she had seen this before and not to worry. I live in Northwest Iowa. I'm speaking in Iowa this month, October 25th and 26th, at the Iowa Honey Producers Association meeting, big time conference in the Midwest there. I'll leave a link down here. Hopefully you can still sign up. Hope you can be there. I think I just wait and see how it goes. I will let you know in the spring what happens. Eric, if you're queenless, I don't know why somebody would tell you don't worry. If I was queenless, I would worry and I'd try to get queens in there. If they're both queenless, I would give it 10 days. I'd drop back in, see if I see eggs. If I don't, I'm buying mated queens to put in there. That's for sure. Okay, here's another question. I have inspected both hives in good shape. Doesn't say who this is from. And removed 1 super from each hive. That's cool. Unbelievable amount of capped honey. Isn't that amazing? 20 full frames makes a lot of honey, doesn't it? I still have a super on each hive full of honey, plus the deeps are half full of honey. That's perfect scenario. Queens are good in laying eggs. Should I take another super off each hive, knowing there is a lot of honey in the deeps? And I use the winter bee kind boards throughout the winter. I just have never seen so much honey at this time of the year. Oh, by the way, Bee Quick works very well. Attached is a picture of honey, capped honey, just 1 of the 20 frames. So you harvested 1 honey super, you got a chance to take another one off. That would leave none. And you're banking on enough being in your deep boxes. What state did you say you lived in? Did I miss that? I don't know how cold it gets where you live. Oh, insurance. And I love insurance. I hate paying for insurance, but I've had to use insurance before when I thought I would never have to use it, and it was so good to have it. Oh my gosh. So that honey super on top there can be insurance for you. Why don't you leave it on there? Let's leave it on there. Okay. And then you can harvest it in the spring if you want to, right? Yeah, do that. Leave it on there for them. It's not going to go bad on there. And hey, if they don't need it in the spring, make room for more, harvest that, and you'll have an early spring crop. Bingo! I surprise myself sometimes. Oh gosh. Guys, I want to tell you, I'm going to be speaking at the Beak meeting in January the 25th. It's just a one-day thing. Wisconsin Rapids. I'll leave a reference here. They're going to be opening up registration pretty soon for it. Big time beekeepers going to be there. You probably know, like Ian Stepler, Canadian Beekeepers blog. You got Mr. Ed's going to be there. Fred Dunn's going to be there. I can't remember all the names of people that's going to be there. I'm going to be there. The stream team's going to be there. It's like the YouTuber's paradise. If you're a YouTuber junkie on Beekeeper, you got to be at this meeting on January the 25th. So take your calendar, mark it. I love seeing you guys. I don't want to go there and nobody knows me and I just have to sit in the corner bored. So show up. I'd love to meet you in person. So I've got a couple of speaking engagements coming up. I don't do a lot of speaking late in the year and early in the year, just because I like to chill a little bit when the bee season ends, but I am doing those two coming up. So I want to tell you about those. Great. I love you guys. Appreciate you so much. And I just made a video on October tips, 8 October tips that you should be aware of in the fall. And it also goes into more depth about some of the questions you guys asked on these list of questions. Here it is right over here. Follow me over there. Binge watch me. Also, give me a thumbs up and like this video and subscribe. I'll see you guys over there. That was fun.